LinuxGameCast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week, scammers be snatching your keys up, and devils need to take note. Remember that retarded laser game they played at Mensa meetings? Well, now you can bring back those repressed memories without the 70 quid a month membership fee, and Linux gets its first AAA simultaneous release. Laser shotguns.
Borderlands 2 mixed with the Linux and off with my time. NVIDIA is wasting their time because remember, kids, Mir is the future. And of course, AMD is using their time wisely as Catalyst finally gets newer kernel support.
Stronghold 3 gets a Linux port, and I will personally explain why you shouldn't buy it. Tesla breaks the world, and its devs reignite the GNU plus Linux controversy. OpenClunk gets an update. Terraria for Linux, still nowhere in sight.
And that was J-Man, P-Man, and together with Shared Realm Dynamic, we form Cocaine Voltron.
But you forgot about V-Man, then.
V-Man is best man. What's going on, Stud?
Oh, you know, not much. Excited for Borderlands 2. Try to play it a lot more this week than I actually ended up getting to, but you know how things are. I'm gonna sit down and do this. No, that's
Nope.
What about you, Ben? Pedro?
Let's see what's up in the spaceport.
Or me.
All right, I can sit down for a couple minutes.
For, October kicked in, and so did work, because now I have a proper 8-hour schedule that I need to be at the office at. And it sucks. I was so used to doing things on my own time, working from home.
My heart breaks for you, Pedro.
Sucks to be us in this case.
And over here in Vinland, played a little Borderlands 2 with the Sandman earlier this week. Had some fun, spent some time playing that. Interesting story. I kind of thieved a cast iron skillet. Now, when I'm out and about, I normally wear just black dress pants, black button-down shirt, not because I'm moody, I'm lazy. These are easier to clean. They don't show stains. And I was at the local pantry. It's called the General Market. Very posh, uptight. They sell, non-GMO, free-range aspirin and shit like that, but not particularly a hippie store. And it's not the first time somebody's walked up and they're like, oh, you must work here, because they all wear black as their uniforms. And these guys walk in the store, and I'm like up front looking like, maybe
much
I'm
like
buy
Mussolini's men.
Right? And they're like, here, if you put these flyers in your store, we'll give you this free cast iron skillet. And I was like, okay, sure. And in fairness, I did leave them at the counter when I was checking out their little flyers, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to leave these right here. Technically, I didn't yoink it.
So what are you using the skillet for? Are you like making stir fryer shit?
It's a cast iron skillet. It's pre-seasoned. I haven't even futzed with it. It's a free skillet. All right.
Mm-hmm.
End of story.
But speaking of the bacon, NC Weber upped his monthly donation from $3.50 to $10 a month. How about that?
That's because he's fucking awesome.
I know. But you know who else is fucking awesome?
Well, I think technically he's kind of awesome, sort of awesome. He lost a little bit of awesome sauce last night, but he's back up and running.
Can't figure out the SSLs apparently, but it should not be giving you the business.
Snappy, check it out. Unlimited disk space, unlimited bandwidth, easy control panel install, one-click script installs. All this for $3.96 a month. That's right, 20% off. In-your-face organ for hosting packages. Final offer.
Oh, no.
Denied.
Will not do! Enter the offer code of seizureness, LinuxGameCast FTW, and you will get 25% off. That's insane. That's ridiculous. Ants are on my eyes and I can't see anything.
Just because you have weird sexual fetishes, don't let that affect such an amazing offer code. But
I know.
we got a bit of a live away a give. That's right. If you don't have Borderlands 2, here's your chance to get it before the end of the show.
Ooh.
So, Linux Nero kind of posted a little picture in your forums.
Apparently, he imported some cigars into the U.S. because apparently U.S. Customs is a joke. Get on that, TSA.
So we immediately looked at that pic and said it's quite shoopable. Around the same time, Mr. Mangos dropped in and said, "You know what, Ben? I got 3 extra keys for Borderlands 2. You want them?" And I said, "I don't want them, but I'm sure somebody in chat room wants to yoink them. So if you get over there before the end of the show, what we're going to do, the 3 best/worst photo shoots of this lovely gentleman with a very phallic cigar in his mouth organ.
And a tumbler that can easily be replaced with a number of other things.
See what you can do with that. And before we wrap up the show, we will get your name and get you some of that brilliant game. Maybe you already have it and you want to give it to your mom.
Paraplegic sister. Who knows?
Yes, absolutely brilliant. But what's a horse
but
up to?
You know, the horse is looking a bit borderline. I don't think it might make it, but it does have the Penguin of Hope. It's our
Lex!
I see a penguin.
Yeah, you know, if you haven't heard of this yet, you've probably been living under a rock, or you don't watch our show at all. Borderlands 2 is finally out on Linux. It is a real boy.
Mm-hmm.
You can pick that up. Cross-platform multiplayer works. I was able to play a 3-player game with Mike Tehan and his friend who was on some Windows box. So that was surprising on day one. Ben, I heard you had some issues with it though.
Oh, I had a couple of little issues. We'll talk about that later on during our Chairquisition, but you can pick this business up. Early in the week, it was like 75% off, so it was basically dirt cheap. Now it's 20 quid. 2 or 4 packs going to run you about 60, or the Borderlands 2 Game of the Year packs, $39.99. You've never played it. What is it? The Ultimate Vault Hunters upgrade lets you get. That's not telling me about the game.
It's all the deal. It's just all the DLC, man.
Right.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. I mean, I'd never had a chance to play it. I didn't make that Heretic purchase, but I'm glad it's here, and I think we're going to recommend it a little bit. But staying on that note.
Speaking of Borderlands.
Here we go. Now,
yeah.
Correct me if I'm right. Borderlands, the pre-sequel, is set to launch simultaneously with the Windows and the Mac. Not PC, not Mac. Windows and Mac and Linux, all at the same time, right in your face organ. According to...
that might be the case if Ian Billard has something to say about that.
GameAgent.com kind of put this up on the blog saying all this. We've just opened pre-orders. Sure, the pre-sale will be our full feature. Sure. And, you know, all that's going to be in our show notes like everything else. But here's something I was kind of scratching my brain organ about. Is this going to be the first AAA simultaneous release for Linux? I'm looking at you, Metro Redux.
Dude, Linux is hard.
Linux is totally hard, man. Well, we'll actually
it's harder than that raging clue I have.
Got a clue, right? Okay, something that's not Borderlands.
Yeah, something that's not Borderlands. Shadowrun Online. You may remember that we were, or at least Pedro and I were fans of Shadowrun Returns.
There we go.
The tactical RPG. Well, now they have an MMO for your face. It's in early access, though. But they are going to release that on Linux. This is the same guys who... Is this the same guys who put out Shadowrun Returns? Yep. I know they're producing it. I don't know if they're actually doing development, but I mean they were pretty good about that before. Shadowrun Returns is actually one of those good Unity ports out there. So
yeah, although this one does seem to have mixed reviews on Steam, because since the new discoverability update, it says that user reviews are mixed. So keep that in mind, and it is very much early access.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, MMOs might not be your thing.
Yeah, I'm actually genuinely curious about it. Unfortunately, I think it will suffer from the same kind of lack of immersion.
Not WoW syndrome?
Yeah, as the multiplayer mods for the original Fallout games. They worked, and you could literally play Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 with a friend, but it just wasn't the same thing. I don't know.
All I have to say about this business is they did contact LGC, and they're like, here's a press release that you can post. And I was like, that's brilliant. I forwarded it to Pedro. Did you get that email?
I did.
Okay. It was like, where's keys, bro?
Yeah,
I asked for keys. They haven't replied yet.
So do not give them any money.
Absolutely. That's how this shit works.
Something about
we're strong-arming them. But speaking of strong-arming, Pedro, I hear you love Stronghold 3.
I really don't. You know, I actually liked the first Stronghold. That was a genuinely good strategy game, real-time strategy game. Stronghold 3, on the other hand, is a complete piece of shit.
All right,
I'm not kidding.
No, you're just lying. It's not mostly negative.
No. You see, this game will literally give you cancer. Because even sites like... then,
because I already have that.
All right, Pedro, pretend I've never played it. What the fuck is it?
You see, the Stronghold series is a real-time strategy, castle builder, micromanage everything kind of simulator.
Brilliant. I'm not going to play it.
The focus is on building a castle or attacking a castle in case you're trying to conquer new territory and everything. And the first one, it did it very well. It was a genuinely good, castle simulator. You're a feudal lord and you have to manage your kingdom or your county or whatever you want to call it. Stronghold 3, on the other hand, is horrible. Sites like IGN and GameSpot, those two websites that like to hype games that turn out to be shit in the end.
GameSpot only gave it 7 out of 10, so it must be crap.
Yeah, it's really bad. If you go on the Metacritic page, don't know why you would, but I did, and they gave the game negative reviews. And if those two said that it was terrible, I don't think you should be going anywhere near this game.
I don't
Ben,
know.
you actually got it running, didn't you?
I got it up and running. I was curious because it was like 450 wet sticky caches, and I was like, can it be that bad? It's like a 3.6 gigajoule download. Downloaded it, started it, listened to all the back, because I had fuck all idea what this game was about, and I was like, okay. It finally started. Performance was so shit. I was like, what? You basically, what is it? Q and R, just rotating around, zooming. I was like, chop, 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 chop. And I was like, A, I don't give a fuck about this game. B, I can barely fucking play it on this box, which, nope. Then I started getting killed to death without really instruction on what I should be doing not to get killed to death.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest complaints. No proper tutorial.
Moving on.
It's Nintendo hard. You need to learn how to play the game by dying over and over again. It's just like Another World.
All right, Free Jack like mentioned World. This business.
Contagion. This is another one of these zombie shooters. That, we have none of these on Linux. No, sir, no zombie shooters at all.
None.
But they are putting the effort. They had Mac and Linux support as a stretch goal, which they did make. So they're saying that they're trying to get that up and running. They're running into some issues with their engine though. And they were talking to Valve, who suggested, you should probably switch your engine to something that, supports Linux out of the box, like the Source Engine plug. But but they do make a nice little point in the article that they recommend that Linux and Mac users not actually purchase the game and without the intention of playing it online because they're not ready. And they won't be ready for a while, but they are in development. So good on them for actually putting forward the efforts. Bad on them for not using cross-platform tools from the get-go and making this a non-issue. Blah, blah,
at least they were honest.
Yeah. I mean, I can say that until I'm blue in the face, but the fact of the matter is if devs aren't going to do that, I can't.
Linux is hard, man.
No. If they do not develop with cross-platform in mind from Genesis, and then they say, we're having so many problems porting to Linux and Mac and PS4 and whatnot, it's your own goddamn fault for doing it in the first place. I'm sorry.
Linux is hard.
Go fuck yourself, Pedro. You know what? Linux 3.0 is hard, isn't it, Pedro?
Yeah, it's totally hard. But we'll get to that in a second. This is Tesla Breaks the World.
Shocking.
And they say it's a classic 2D platformer that blends elements of Nikola Tesla puzzles, inventions, 1800s era undead, and a sprinkling of the maniacal Thomas Edison. So apparently they subscribe to Oatmeal's thinking.
So is everything in multiples of threes and he runs away from women?
I honestly couldn't tell you because I haven't played the game. Now, one thing that is very much a multiple of 3 is their system requirements, because if you scroll down all the way to the bottom of the page, you see Linux minimum OS, Linux 3.0 or later.
I'm just tempted to, write them in the forums and say, I've copied the Linux BZ image to a ext4 partition and the game won't run it. In fact, I can't even get Steam to launch. What's up?
I can't even get a GUI to launch. What's wrong with this? But they only support BusyBox and Linux. They don't support this new nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, don't you know? Linux is an OS, so they can call it by its kernel version. Apparently.
This clocks in at $9.99, and looking at partial controller support, I'm guessing it's Unity. So,
yeah, think.
No, shitty game on Linux.
That just screams when you see partial controller support. That means, oh yeah, we developed it. It works great on the Windows. We clicked the exports, and it's like, oh yeah, Unity controller support's busted. It's partial controller port. Yeah. See, but no, I do think you're supposed to use your gerbil and keyboard to play this mechanic. I was reading in the forums about that, so I don't know. Not necessarily my cup of chainsaw, but here's something you might want to brain on.
No. Speaking of brain,
officially licensed.
You have some history with this, from what I understand.
Officially licensed version of the Mensa Select award-winning board game. This is the stupidly boring, overly thought out to be hard and complex for people who are that fucking pretentious and join Mensa. Anyone can get in Mensa. Pedro could get into Mensa nowadays. And I noped out of that business when they went up to 70 quid a year to renew your, and I was like, pfft. It was like the same day they put up t-shirts, and I was like, no, I'm out. There's nothing about this other than it's boring. It's not intelligent. It's not fun, and don't.
It's just overly complicated for the sake of being overly complicated.
It's supposed to make stupid people feel smart if they ever figure it out, which is just a damn joke. But no, this thing runs on. All you have to do is install glibc.
glibc 215.
Copy that to an empty ext4 partition or ZFS if you want, and it'll.
No. If you want graphics, you need to enable S3 texture compression.
Yeah, you need OpenGL 2.1 with GL ARP frame buffer object support, man. Oh no, and you need to include those 32 bits. That's the most important part.
Yes.
All I have to say, in no defense, Mensa, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
All right, wind us down.
Bunch of fucking geniuses. That about wraps up our Steam news segment. Coming up next, you should totally give us more keys. We're a YouTube channel with 2 million subscribers.
Hashtag yoink.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in non-Linux news this week, Pluto became a planet again. On Linux news, we're about to find out. Yeah.
All right, check this business
what?
out.
What the fuck was that?
Shut up. Let Ven do his thing.
It's P-Man started and he couldn't finish. Nori knows all about it. How to get every game on Steam for free. This comes from Game Sutra. I'm just going to summarize this. Basically, what this dude did, he went through. He was like, oh, well, when you started the indie game and all that, sometimes I was giving out a key or sometimes 3 keys because these people were saying, hey, I have a YouTube channel with billions of viewers and all that business. And he's like, oh, well, that'd be good publicity.
I think it was like 20,000 or something, some reasonable number. Something
like that. And which is logically, that sounds, you want people to play your games on the tubes and all that to get exposure. Then he got to braining on it for a moment. And he says, I wonder how many of these are actual people. And he wrote him back and he was like, could you provide further information or anything like that and reply back to me? And no one did. So then he went on his own experiment to find out if he could get all the games. We really didn't get all the games, but he started emailing indie developers with his, oh yeah, I have a YouTube channel and all that. Could I get a key? And they kept on throwing them at him without asking anything. So what this genuinely boils down to at the end of the day, take that shot, is if you're an indie developer or a company that's porting games or anything like that, if somebody emails you and says, hello, I have YouTube, if that's true, get them to send you a message on YouTube requesting that. Or if they say, well, I'm from this site and all that, say, well, send me an email from that site domain. That's not going to be difficult. And at the end of the day, here's something you really want to think about. When you see those super special sales, that, you can get this game for like 30% off or 20% off. That's from all these key harvesters doing that for these indie games and turning around and selling them. And the developers are not getting no money. And that's wrong. So developers, listen to the sound of my voice, put down that erection, and follow that advice. Thoughts?
But you can trust us. We're totally not ripping you off of your keys and then laughing at your stupidity. No, sir.
Totally not. Unless you're the guys behind Legends of Aetherius.
In all fairness, we did attempt to play that several times.
Yeah, we attempted it.
We tried earnestly, but it's just so choppy.
It's kind of like the AMD's drivers on Linux.
Oh, that's a nice transition.
Speaking of things not
14.9 is out. Boom. Yes, they've got off their ass of. Apparently, they've realized the strategy of releasing one driver for a single video card is absolutely moronic, and have pushed out their new Catalyst drivers that support most of their current video cards. But if you scroll on down to the Linux system requirements, if you click on that page link, you can find out that, hey, the drivers will still only work with that ancient version of X that they've been supporting for years and years and years. But they've added support for newer-ish kernels. You can now run it on a machine running Linux kernel 3.15, just as the 3.17 kernels are coming out, and most current distros are on 3.16 now. So awesome!
Excellent. I'm on the LTS Ubuntu 14.04, and it usually stays along, well, this one came with kernel 3.13, but I needed 3.16, so I compiled it, and I installed it myself. Doesn't work. Won't even compile. Good time.
And it's great. NVIDIA will launch a video card, and they'll have Linux driver support, full Linux driver support for it, on day one for any fucking kernel out there.
And they even put overclocking options in their GUI.
You fucking clods, one chair. That's what I rate Catalyst 14.
Well, back in 2010, who needs Linux kernel developers? They're expensive, Let's fire them.
Oh, yeah.
AMD.
Can them.
Not like tons of supercomputers are using Linux. No, sir. They're all running Windows.
Continuing on.
But continuing on our graphics manufacturer tirade, I guess it is. At one of their XDC 2014 talks, they have a planned one for enabling alternative Windows system via non-Mesa graphics driver implementation. Basically, they're attempting to engineer their driver to use EGL and thus be compatible with Wayland, and to a lesser extent, Mirror. But of course, who's using this Wayland nonsense?
Wayland is completely obsolete. Yeah. I mean, Shuttleworth has
Hail
said...
Shuttleworth!
Mirror is the future, and clearly
Hail
all AMD, NVIDIA, Intel, they're all jumping on... Wait, it wasn't Mirror, it was Wayland.
Wasn't it Intel that came back the very next day saying,
no,
we're supporting Wayland? I have no idea what they're talking about.
Because Intel invested several $1 million in the development of Wayland. I don't think they take too kindly to it when you say, we're going to come up with our own near in-house solution.
Well, J-Man, I did hear that, supposedly, it's a rumor that the latest version, I'm not joking, I'm seriously, this latest beta version of Fedora is shipping with Wayland.
Didn't they already go back on there?
Well, so here's the deal with that. Fedora has been shipping with Wayland since Fedora 19. It's just a developer preview that only works on the open source drivers. So unless you have an Intel or AMD card, and specifically you want to use GNOME 3, you cannot use Wayland.
Yeah, and if you have an NVIDIA card, Nouveau won't work yet. There's been some news regarding that, but it doesn't actually work yet.
And again, credit to the Nuvo guys. They have a wine-like Herculean task of reversing an NVIDIA driver. That's pretty mental. And the fact that they even have 3D acceleration is pretty fucking nuts.
Well, from drivers to people who actually want to make some games.
Oh, yes. Tiled, the map editor that I use for my Dungeons and Dragons map, recently hit 1.0
Z1Z.
Point 10. Yeah.
0.10.
0.10. Comes with a host of improvements. They added object rotation, explicit object rendering, all sorts of stuff. JavaScript load save. It's a cool release. If you are a game developer and you need 2D or isometric maps, this is basically a free tool you can use, and it works reasonably well. I have no issue with it.
So what exactly do you use it for? I mean, explain. Explain!
So some nerds like me play Dungeons and Dragons on a grid, and they require visual aid to figure out where all the characters are. So I just use it for making like grid maps. That's it. It's just this thing is a glorified stamping tool, but you can use it as a development tool as well. So if you have like a 2D platformer game or an isometric game in style Baldur's Gate, Tiled will do this stuff for you.
Super sweet.
I was actually surprised to see it in the show notes. I mean, we covered it a little bit before, but
yeah, I mean, good on that lot. I mean, keep up the good work. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But achievement has been unlocked.
This is Open Clonk. I actually did some digging on this game, and the original one came out in 1994. Looking at screenshots for the graphics and the gameplay itself, it's 2D world building, and that made me immediately remember Terraria and the fact that it's not on Linux. But yeah, so they have a new update. It brings achievements and configurable scenario parameters, which you can literally set how big the map is or how many, the type of terrain that you're going to encounter, the biome, if you will.
But what is this game?
This is, like I said, it's a 2D world builder action adventure. I don't like using that term because it's very broad, but yeah, it's a 2D world builder, much in the style of Terraria, only it was really stupid old, like 1994 old. But now Open Clonk in itself. Yeah, it was released in 2010, and it still uses the 2D landscapes and environments, but the objects that you could place, like buildings and everything else, now they're actually being rendered in real time. They're not just sprites anymore. So good on them for actually keeping up with the updates, I suppose.
Yeah, I've been playing this game from billions of years ago in the future's past. It's good that they're still playing with it. I mean, this game was old when they started the project, and hey,
yeah,
good on you lot. So,
So you had some issues with the title of this game. I hear you misread it. I'm curious as to what you misread it as, Ben.
I have no idea. What could I have possibly misread Grey Walkers as? Purgatory. But needless to say, after playing 15 minutes of it, I was very confused as what this game was about, because I did misread it. Now, what is this? This is a little bit of a Kickstarter. They want 40,000 wet stinky caches, currently 16,567 backers, and an emergent strategic and tactical turn-based supernatural buzzword city RPG inspired Fallout XCOM.
It's basically it's a dark fantasy style wasteland game. That's
really?
More or less
yeah,
what it
that's
is.
exactly what they're looking to capitalize on. Oh, Wasteland 2 did pretty good on Kickstarter, so let's release something the sort.
But so they as per our rule, they do have a Linux demo. It is playable.
Yeah.
The demo is a bit shit because it basically just sort of throws you on like a 10x10 map with like a couple enemies and some pre-generated characters, and they're just like, "You have fun with that."
It's basically a proof of concept. I wouldn't actually call it a demo.
Yeah.
Right, it's kind of rough going in a game, and when they say, we have Linux, this is new rule at LGC. If I download, and it's a zip file, all right, you can maintain permissions in zip files if you know how to fucking use zip.
Yep.
I saw a zip file, and I was like, okay, that's fine. Download it. Launch it. And I was like, no, CH1 plus X, okay. As soon as I have to do that, I go, you don't Linux, bro, do you? Not very well, and I don't really trust you to continue developing on this. And J-Man had a point. He was like, well, it does work fairly well. And I was like, well, if you take enough shots in the dark, sometimes clicking export's going to work.
Yeah. But then, don't you know that Unity does all of that for you?
It really does. But besides the development woes, the game looks a little bit shit. But if dark fantasy is your bag and turn-based RPG strategy is your bag, consider giving them some money. Check out the demo. It's available on their website, links on their Kickstarter page. And all of these links are available in our show notes, as always. Mm-hmm. Coming up next, we throw chairs at Borderlands and ride the meat bicycle.
Laser shotguns.
We're back, and we're throwing chairs at Borderlands 2 from Gearbox and the Aspire. Which is the best pyre?
It's Aspire.
No. It's Aspire.
Aspire.com. Go
See, man.
Yeah. See, man. Yes, but it's developed by Gearbox and Aspire. It's on the Willow engine, which is an Unreal 3 derived engine. You can pick it up for $19.99 with Stinky. It was on sale earlier this week at 75% off to celebrate Steam OS launch. But what is it? It is the sequel to Borderlands 1. Duh. Play as one of 4 new Vault Hunters facing off against a massive world of creatures, psychos, and the evil mastermind, Handsome Jack. Make new friends, arm them with a bazillion weapons, and fight alongside them in 4-player co-op on a relentless quest for revenge and redemption across the undiscovered and unpredictable living planet. Because Mogo doesn't socialize. And the 3 of you who got that reference, pat yourself on the back. And of course, because it's facing the Chairquisition, it must face the Chairquisition.
Yeah. Didn't see that coming.
1 chair means that it's shit. 2 chairs means that's 3 chairs means it's pretty good. 4 chairs means that it's fucking terrific. So we also have our categories: Oh Doom, mixed with the working, shiny sounds, controls, and fun. So Ven, did Borderlands 2 make with the working?
We tested out that sauce on our Ubuntu 1404 LTS dual 770 running an AMD 8150 octo-core thingy of processing business. Here's the thing. When it first launched, that first day, the entire time, J-Man was like humping my leg, and he's like, we're going to play. You don't want to get home, bro? Come on. We're going to play. And I was like, all right, fine. So I drove back to the house, fired it up, and I was like, ooh, it started. That's good. Nope. I was like, ooh, that's not good. First thing, disable Steam overlay. That's always a good trick, right?
Yep.
Nope. All right, disable display capacity. Fuck you again. I was like, God. Finally got in the forums, and there's a bunch of nope saws flying over there. That gets sorted on day 2. Then I didn't have too much of a problem, but something I'm still having an issue with is, fuck all, if I can make it remember if it's windowed or not windowed. Because in order to do the game capture, I have to have it in a windowed mode, even if it's full screen windowed. And it's like, no, we're going to full screen. I was like, but I put you in windowed last time. Full screen, YOLO, Doritos. And another thing, had stuttering issues even up until yesterday, before I finally went, what's this frame rate limiter in here? Because I didn't think about that until I was in the control options, and I saw it had a built-in like aimbot thing, and I was like, oh, this must have been on a console at some point. So then I went to the frame rates and put it on infinite. Boom. Beautiful. Perfect. But just because of the windowed thing added with it day 1 launch, that was affecting the Ubuntu system, which was a system they said they tested it on. I can't give it 4 chairs. I can do 3, though, because it definitely deserves that.
So I downloaded this on day 1 on my Fedora 20 64-bit AMD 1090T NVIDIA 670 superclock powered system, and it launched without any issue. It took a while to start up, but that's typical of most Unreal derived games. Now it starts up in a reasonable amount of time. I was impressed by the quality of this port. I was actually surprised that cross-platform multiplayer worked on day one. I wasn't expecting that. Played that with Mike Tehan, who is very likely going to win our photo shoot contest for this, this episode. So there's that. Yeah, no real issues from day one. There was enabling GL-threaded optimizations caused the game to crash on day one, but it was perfectly playable without that, and they've seemed to have fixed that issue subsequently. So I'm gonna give that 4 cheers.
Yep. So on the calculator here on day one, it was freezing. Every 10 seconds or so, it would freeze for like a second or two, and then the game would resume just fine. And after 10 seconds, another freeze, and it was pretty annoying. I actually tried to join chat royal member Mr. Mango for a multiplayer game, and it
Mango-san!
Almost unplayable, and I closed the game. Oh, there's an update waiting. Okay, let's update the game. Oh, it fixed the herky-jerkiness, and the game plays stupidly well on the open source drivers with my 5650 HD on the Intel Core i3 powered calculator I got going on Ubuntu 1404, 64-bit. So 4 cheers from me.
And that's 3 cheers total for Mix with the Working. Ven, Shiny, and Sounds. Give us the business.
The business and the business soundtrack. Well, the sounds and the soundtrack were just awesome sauce. Loved it. Voice work, just as good. Really wanted to kill Claptrap or Clapshack or whatever his name was. I'm just always seeing rage when I think about it. And that's really good voice acting when I genuinely want to kill a non-physical entity. It's, the graphics, they were great. They were great for what they are. When did this game originally come out? 2 years ago?
Yeah, about that.
It's right in there. And it's definitely based on the Unreal 3 engine. I'm kind of in that camp, and I can spot Unreal 3 engine on Linux thanks to Gmoney and porting a lot of them. And then, of course, we had Deadfall Adventure, those guys who were too busy sucking on the glue stick to do it right. Right. But as soon as I first launched it, I was like, oh, that's Unreal 3.
That's
But
2012.
it's
2 years,
not bad. But there was never a point where I went, wow. And, you know, I'm definitely comparing apples and wrenches because it's 2 completely different engines. When I say wow, what I mean is like the first time I played Metro Last Light, there were several times I was like, what? That I've never seen this awesomeness on the Linuxes. But I'm just thinking the Unreal 3 engines and its derivatives are getting a bit long in the tooth. But it looks fantastic. There was just not that wow factor. And the sounds are awesome. Love them. And the performance, it's great. Once I got the FERPs sorted out, it's like butter on the 770s at 1080p with everything on. Finally figured out how to cut on frame rate thing. 50 frames a second. Sometimes they're dropping to 45, or as Pedro might call it, a good day. So I'm going to give that 3 cheers
target
for the shinies and the sounds because I think they're excellent. J-Man.
Yeah, no, the game's AAA, so of course it has the AAA talent. It has the AAA voice actors, which are stellar. There's the AAA dialogue, which is equally very good. The cell shading looks great. I mean, the one advantage with the cartoony feel of Borderlands is that the game will age very, very well because it's supposed to look like a cartoon. So that certainly helps it out a lot in the visuals department. Yeah, the soundtrack was pretty good. I found myself very rarely do I actually listen to the soundtrack of the game while I'm playing it. This was one of the cases. Actually, speaking of Claptrap, you know he was in an episode of DBZ Bridged?
Really?
Yes. He was the robot from the Revenge of Cooler, the Return of Coolering.
Okay, see, I would have never known that because I've never played this game before. Right.
But yeah, no, but you know what? It's AAA, so that's what we expect, top notch on the visuals and the audio. So that deserves a 4 cheer.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree. And yes, Mr. David Eddings, the voice actor for Claptrap, made a wonderful job making people hate his character. So good on him.
If my voice sounds overly enthusiastic, it's because my programmer made it the default one. I've actually lived it.
But yeah, Claptrap, it's the comic relief of the entire series, and I'm actually looking forward to play it on the pre-sequel. I'm going to be playing Claptrap. So, yeah. Again, like Jordan said, the graphics, the cell shading effect will make sure that the game looks good throughout the years. And, you know, the audio's spot on. Even with my crappy calculator, every now and again there's a game that will delay the audio or play the audio before the thing happens on screen. With this game, spot on. 4 chairs for me.
All right, so that is 3 whole chairs for Shiny and Sounds. Moving on to Control, then what do you think?
Controls.
Do you feel like you're in control?
One thing that always depresses me is when I saw this, and it depresses me because we had Linux users in the forums, well, on their forums, asking, well, how does it work with the controller? I just want to kill people. I gotta play my first-person shooters with a controller, brah, Dorito. I just want to hurt them. Yeah, you should be banned from the glorious PC Master Race if you use controllers to play first-person shooters. I'm sorry. In my day, auto-lock, auto-aim was called cheating. But, back to my point. For the love of flying spaghetti monster, I cannot, and I've gotten closer because I'm adapting to it, find the perfect sensitivity setting for my gerbil. And, you know, like J-Man, I have one of these YOLO swag EP and extender with a weighted Logi somethings. And that kind of irritated me a
G500
little.
series
Yeah,
mouse.
G500, something like that. Getting better with it. I think it's just something. It's just something. I don't know. Might just be the engine. The default layout, controls worked for me on the keyboard organ, except for, it took me a minute, and I was like, why isn't shift crouching? Shift should always crouch at everything. Sorry.
Shift is sprint, though.
I know.
Yeah.
Or control. It's going to be one of those two.
Yeah.
Control didn't work, and I actually had to go into the menu and was like, wait a minute. Oh, well, then it made logical sense. See. Then I was like, inventory. Oh, that's I, way over here. So, stop. I was like, ow, ouch, okay, that's another thing. But, again, like I said, I like how it has a built-in auto-aim, cheat mode built into it. Never used it. But just because some of the herky jokes with the mouse, can't give it a perfect score, but it controls as good as, it controls fucking fantastic compared to just about anything else we have on the Linuxes. They did a great job with this port, so I can't give it the 4 chairs. Going to have to give it the 3. J-Man.
Yeah, no, some of the default keyboard placements are a bit questionable. The other thing is, when I play first-person shooters, I got one of these mice. You might know these as the forward and back buttons on your mouse. It's typically on the side.
Moon technology, burn 'em.
I usually assign those for weapon cycling and for ammo and for reloading. You can do that on Source Engine games because they're using SDL, and SDL magically figures everything out because it's
magic.
Moon magic.
Awesome.
But this game does not. And I find myself in very awkward situations where I find the need to reload, and my first instinct is not to hit R. My first instinct is to press the back button because that's what I use for reloading. Like Ben said, inventory management is a bit weird when you have to you have to move your hand to the I button. Yeah, Pedro, you have some shtick about the control keys, so I'll let you deal with that. Needless to say, I don't like using C for crouch. I don't mind using shift for sprint and control for crouch. That doesn't bother me all that much. I'd prefer it the other way around, but it's ultimately irrelevant. But otherwise, it's fairly standard FPS fare. Point, click, shoot, all that good stuff.
You didn't try it with your controller? What's wrong with you? How could you possibly play it?
Because
you just don't have the skill to play.
First-person shooters.
It requires more skill to play with a controller.
So the only excuse you have for playing first-person shooters with a controller is if it's Doom, like OG Doom.
Yeah.
But I've babbled on long enough. 3 chairs.
Yeah. So just to reiterate on Jordan's point, you see this mouse, because I'm left-handed and my right hand can't reach all the controls, I got me
like a
mouse.
foot.
Yeah, I got me a mouse with 4 thumb buttons, 2 on this side, 2 on the other side. So the ones back here is like forwards and backwards. These don't get recognized. These I have set as page up and page down. Those work just fine, so I could still use and, rebind the use key and the melee attack to those buttons, and they work fine. But again, much like Jordan, my first instinct when it comes to reloading is to push this button right here. And it wasn't working. And I couldn't assign it. It was a pain in the bum. Then came the other problem. When it comes to first-person shooters, I like to set the right control key to crouch, because it's, there's the directional arrow keys right there. There's the control key. It's natural. My thumb, which is basically the only finger I have working on my right hand,
If
it
I
just
had that many
moves
blue
there.
LEDs, I'd build a log cabin.
It just moves there naturally, and I expect my character to crouch. In this game, it doesn't. And at first I was like, why can I not bind the control keys? And then I went on, I think it was Linux_gaming subreddit, and I found a guy explaining why. Because the Linux version is based on the Mac port, and in Mac OS, the control keys are used as a modifier to emulate the right click if you have one of those one-button mice that they have. And someone, Ian, forgot to remove that limitation when they ported the game to Linux. 3 chairs.
Fun stuff. So that's 3 chairs for control. Now on to our final subjective category, fun. Ben, did you have fun?
See, this is where I get to redeem myself, because everyone's like,
Ben hates everything.
Let me just read off the notes here so I can get it verbatim. It's challenging, and I don't completely understand what the hell I'm doing. And that's a good thing. At first, seriously, at first, like I said, I'd never played this. I didn't make a heretic purchase of it to play it under wine, which I think P-Man said it runs stupidly well under wine.
Yeah.
So this is my first experience getting into it, and I kind of charged in full metal first-person shooter mode, and I got killed to death a lot. So, being the clever man I am, after several hours of just getting killed,
Brute forcing the problem.
right, I said, let's check out these quest things, and that's neat. At first I was like, this is bullshit, because I just wanted to blow shit up. And then I was like, well, all right, we'll do that. Then you get the different guns, and you can mix things around. Then I felt myself, even last night, looking at everything, comparing it, and I was like, okay, we'll use that shield generator. First option with that gun. That's the type of spreadsheet game I don't mind, because I'm able to get set up and go.
It results in you being able to kill people.
Kill things, yes.
Yep.
Bonus. Like doing that. Yeah, like it. I'm going to keep playing this. I got to beat this. This is like my challenge to beat this game before the pre-sequel comes out. And Ian's like, here, now you play this. And I'm like, all right, fine. Fantastic game. If you like, I'm like straight first-person shoot, fuck all, kill all the things type person. Not really big on, I didn't see how the RPG dynamic was going to work. Great story, great audio. It's new to me. I like it. I'm going to keep playing it. It is fun, and with all the DLC available, I could probably just play this for the next year and be solid. But, we do have to review the pre-sequel maybe next week. Who knows? 4 chairs. Deserves it. The guys at Aspire. man, did a fantastic job getting this thing ported. They also did a fantastic job fixing the bugs once they figured them out. J-Man.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a single-player FPS MMO. That the Aspian meat really likes the repetitiveness of it because I find repetitive tasks soothing. But the critic in me,
masturbation,
yes, masturbatory. But the critic in me is getting a bit bored with it. The quests do a good enough job of being varied enough that it doesn't. Ultimately, it does devolve to go to place X, kill, find thing Y, kill X of them, or kill Z of them. bring them back to me. But there's enough variety that it doesn't cease to be entertaining. One thing that does bug me though is that they don't really spawn the enemies until you interact with the environment. So when I'm playing a sniper character, the first thing I want to do is set up in my perch and just pick off everyone else, and then go in with the shotgun and clear out the remnants. But I can't do that because I have to. My strategy essentially devolves down to run into the enemy territory, get all of them to start chasing me, run as fast as I can to a place with some decent cover, and then start picking them off with a sniper rifle. It's certainly a fun game. The guys at Gearbox did a good job making it. The guys at Aspire did a really good job of porting it.
C-Man!
C-Man! No, I'm very impressed with the responsiveness with releasing bug fixes. That was quite impressive. It really looks like Aspire really wants this to be a successful game, and I think it's very deserving of any money you give them. So I'm gonna give that 3 cheers.
Yeah. Well, personally, I like it. But then again, I knew I would because, like Ben already mentioned, I played the first one all the way back when in Wine, and it was my cup of tea, definitely. But much like Borderlands 2, much like its predecessor, can get a bit grindy and repetitious the more you play it. It gets to a point where basically I just ignore the random NPCs and the lower level stuff that spawn all around me, and I just dash through someplace in order to get where I need to go to finish the quest, and then I dash back out. That's it.
Oh no, I use that to grind for experience. It's great because you walk into the mission like 2 levels higher than you need to be.
Yeah, but it gets to a point where it's just, I've already killed this guy like 7 times. I don't want to do it anymore. So I just dash in and out, and I'm done. But as far as actual, truly native Linux gaming goes, there really isn't anything like it, at least until the pre-sequel comes out. It gets 3 chairs from me. Doesn't get 4, because being on Linux does not excuse its repetitiousness.
So that's 3 chairs for fun. And that totaled to about 3 chairs across the board for all our categories, Doom, leading us to our final verdict. A 3-chair game. Now,
a very solid 3 chairs.
Very solid 3 chairs. I think it's very well earned. Even if, and I mean realistically, even if you hate shooters, you should buy this game. The guys at Aspire did an amazing job of porting this. They're right on the ball with the bugs, and I think they deserve a lot more work coming their way. So, go buy that on Linux. Play it on Linux for the first couple weeks. And let these guys get their due because they certainly deserved it. Ben, final thoughts?
I liked it. I'm still liking it. I'm coming out of this with a new set of eye organs and a new set of ear pussies. Digging the story. I think it's well written. It's once you figure out how to get it running right on your particular system, it runs like butter. And performance is there, story's there. To me, I think it's very interesting. Old man Ben hasn't played this. Well, I haven't because I'm not a heathen. I only play native Linux games. I think the first-person shooter RPG element somehow fucking works. It worked for me. And I was like, I like this. This is interesting. I'm going to keep playing it. They did a great job. Like J-Man said, if you already own this, buy another copy for friends or family that run Linux. Don't buy it for the Windows. And kick these guys a few extra shekels. P-Man?
Yeah. Well, like Jordan said earlier, it's a 4-player co-op MMORPG with guns. It's go over there, kill X amount of monster Y, pick up item Z, return to the lazy stationary cockhead back in town that gave you the quest.
But there is online.
Yeah, there is online. It's co-op. You can have up to 4 players or 6
on any platform even.
Yeah, you can be on Linux, play with a guy on Mac, play with a guy on Windows, and maybe find some nut job that got it running on Haiku. Why not?
No, BSD compatibility.
Or yeah, BSD compatibility. That'll work. But the thing is, it's got a much better story than most MMOs you can play, be it Wine or native Linux. It's got a much better story. But considering how much more money 2K Games has over whatever random MMO that you find, it fucking well better.
All right, so coming up next, we explore why LinuxGameCast is the star of Portuguese independent programming.
True story.
Hey, like the show? Check us out at LinuxGameCast.com. Click on the podcast button for RSS feeds, our wall of shame, and donato buttons. There's also an Amazon affiliate link, because making this shit is hella expensive, yo. Speaking of which, if you like kicking us somewhat stinky, a recurring donation gets you a producer's credit at the end of the show, and a one-time donation gets you into the super ultra mega chocolatey fudge Linux Gaming Super Squad. Broke as shit. Can't steal your parents' credit cards? No problem. Spread the word on Facebook, Google+, Twitter, and YouTube. And remember, kids, fuckity bye.
You know, I'm disappointed. Every week, I keep asking for a hate mail. Give us your hate mail. Your innermost...
And your confused young men.
Yeah,
And your veg.
You're listening to a Linux gaming podcast with three nut jobs who have minimal idea about what they're talking about.
As a talentless
try, man.
hack, I resemble that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So we want your hate mail. And if you don't know how to send it to us, here. I'll explain it to you again. You go on over to linuxgamecast.com, you push the contact button on the nav bar, you fill out the form. It's easy. All we need is your name, your email, a subject, and a message, and you have to prove you're smarter than Van's bot. Unless, of course, you're one of those people trying to promote your Kickstarter.
What do you mean, those people?
One of
Racist.
those people.
He means non-Portuguese. That's what they call
promote
people
some
who are
sort
not
of
Portuguese.
crowdfunding campaign. If you do, all we ask is that you send us a demo, prototype, proof of concept, anything that we can play around with. If you
And
do,
it's been proven time and time again, they will send us anything.
yeah. So if you do, we'll feature your thing. If you don't, we'll make fun of you. That's it. But what we really want is hate mail.
But, speaking of racism, Evandro sends something in. He says, "Hi again, I was contacted by my triple play ISP."
That's how people in Brazil speak, too. I know, it's spot on.
Yeah, I know. At Mio Canal 2, a service kind of like YouTube for clients where I post the weekly episodes. It's going to be highlighted on October 3rd because they like the original content. Any question telling me to talk to Pedro Mateus? It's wrong. It's easier to talk in Portuguese, just to let you know. So apparently we're the stars of Brazilian/Portuguese.
It's actually Portuguese. The dude is actually Portuguese. He lives here in Portugal, in Bragança, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah.
Sorry, where does he live again? Australia?
Bragança. It's
Australia.
There it is. All right. First of all, P-Man, explain what the hell this Moon TV device thing is.
Yeah, so this is Mel Canal. It is a service that my ISP, Mel, and Evandro's ISP allows people to create their own TV channels for everyone with a Mel subscription to watch. And there are hundreds and thousands of them. And Evandro made one of his channels public and started uploading each and every single one of our episodes.
So what's that Moon number mean under Linux?
Yes, that is the TV channel number. You'll need to type in your remote to get to the channel itself. You can actually have a look at the list if you go to canal.pt/973.
Wait. Hold on, Pedro. Are they... I guess, yeah. All right, never mind. Continue.
Yeah. So if you go there, you type in that number, and you'll be able to see us on Portuguese television. Because why not?
We finally made it. Time to cash in our checks. Screw you all, Internet. We're on Portuguese television.
First thing I want to point out is, why are you using a logo I haven't used for 4 years?
Possibly because that was the only one you could find.
Call me, and I'll send you a better quality of something that we have not used genuinely for 4 years.
So, also, there's some confusion as to what you can and cannot do with our videos. So then, why don't
yes.
you?
Let's put some knowledge in some brain organs, children. Gather round. We've never really made it clear. Like, what can you do? Is it, Creative Commons, share alike, attribution, all that? Or is it, I have a lot of free time and disposable income, so I'll just come kill you? Not really clear on which side of that license you're going to fall on. All I ask is you can use any of our content. I don't even want to play the what's copyrighted and what's not game. Anywhere, chop it up, do what you want with it. The only thing I don't want to see that I will actually send Pedro all the way from Portugal to come kill you, and all you'll hear is a giggle as he vibrates through your wall and stab. That's it. You'll be dead. If I see anything, you take one of our shows, download the mezzanine file, re-upload it to YouTube, and run ads against it. That will get you some giggling death. That's pretty much it. Put it on TV and all that. And it's great to always check and make sure at the end of the day, take that shot, that we're going to be cool with it. I mean, mad respect for that. I'm pretty much going to say yes. Yeah. What were you saying, Jim?
I was just saying we should probably slap a Creative Commons attribution license on there just to make it official. But that's a discussion for another day. This next one is from our friend Ian Bullard at the Aspire. So last week, if you hung around after the show, we were joking around, and I ended up acquiring the domain ass-pyre.com. And so I sent that over to Ian, and he sends this back. He says, "I've updated my profile too to something like it's pronounced Aspire, and I'm the reason that Borderlands 2 will be lit. So you could have been playing this on Sunday if it weren't for me. Send your hate mail to Pedro at LinuxGameCast.com."
I'm the PR guy, but yeah, I want your hate mail. Send it over.
and as it turns out, Ian Bullard, ladies and gentlemen, brilliant programmer, spell not so gooder.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I heard I'm the best. I'm the best.
I'm the best.
Episode 53, this comes from Mr. Mango, that we tried to wake you up, but you're still gray in the chat realm, so you. He writes, episode 53 was one of the best LGC intros ever, and that was Jovial J-Man and Racist Brown Sock. Along with Solid Stone. But he does write, however, Vinstone, any chance you're doing a full review of Sir You're Being Hunted now that it's fully released, or even an update to whether it's still worth the cash? Now, I did write him back personally. I said, if we run out of any game that resembles fun, possibly. Jim?
Yes.
P-Man?
Yeah. Don't buy that game. It's not very good.
Yeah, it's to answer those questions, no and no. Unless you really like
Come on, Pedro.
buildings.
Pedro, it could be a good benchmark to see how long it takes to generate that first world.
Yeah.
It's a Unity game. That should be a pretty good idea.
You can also use the loading times. You can also take advantage of the loading times to eat your house in the winter and kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so
unless you really like
Ugh.
looting buildings by using the doors as though they were chests, no.
And to be fair, I really wanted to like that game, man. Ooh,
Yeah.
No.
The fact that you can't hunt your hunters makes me very upset. That was like the big thing.
But it's
Is
stealth.
that-
That's a feature.
No. You know what else is stealthy? Taking a knife to someone's throat when they're not looking, and then giggling
And you know what else
afterwards.
is stealthy? Being able to go into buildings and hiding in stuff.
That's just cracktastic, Pedro. No one does that.
Well, speaking of crack, let's go ahead and cue that music, because at the end of the day, you can always find me at Vinstone on the Twitternets, plus Vinstone on the G+. Watch us live. Join in the distortion, chat realm dynamic, usually around 9, 10, we don't know, Eastern Moon Time. On our
It'll
side.
happen. Don't worry
Kick
about
us some
it.
quid and all that fun stuff. Help keep Pedro clothed. You don't want to see the alternative. It's fantastic. J-Man.
Really
And-
don't.
And you know, once Pedro runs out of clothes, I start getting naked, and that's when the price starts going up. Because I am Jordan Spung. You can find me at the Burning Pool, plus Ben Stone. Not plus Venstone, plus Jordan Swung. Twitter, Google Plus. God damn it. Yes, again, send your hate mail to ben@linuxgamecast.com. Or alternatively, Michael at Veronix.com.
Yes, but I am Pedro Mateos. You can find me fully clothed on Twitter at unaccounted for, or sometimes not so clothed on Google Plus at plus Pedro Mateos.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's just close this out by saying thank Flying Spaghetti Monster for all these fantastic Linux games. Can I get a ramen?
Or ramen, but I could use a bit of veg.
Hallelujah!
You did to me, Pedro. You should have said ramen. you had one fucking job there.
I'm sorry, I had to.
Or at least Hal Raguya.
You really think we could have put that together?
That would have been.
He would have died.
Jesus